Welcome to the Florida Trail Runners Podcast. Out in the woods, out in the swamps, down by the Willie Gucci. It started with a podcast, now it's a thing. The Florida Trail Runners. Florida Trail Runners.
All right, here we are with episode 129 of the Florida Trail Runners podcast. And on the chat, we've got Carl Gilley in the tech. You know, this year, Carl, he got the win with a time of 12:06:48 for the 57 and a half miles. You know, this is an old school trail race out in the Ocala National Forest. And for this year, this old school classic had 8 finishers. And with Carl, he got it done. We hear all about it, his background, a change in his racing perspective, and how those miles went down. So, hey, with that, let's just jump right into it.
Green Swamp, headed down south.
Hey, I think everything's set up right, so I think we're ready. So
Nice. Yeah, I'm just chilling in my truck.
good deal, man. I got home about 10 minutes ago, and started to get all settled in for this thing here. So sounds good.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I always try to do it later
But I get it, man. Yeah, I'll be dang. Man, I didn't realize how fast of a runner you were, man. I seen you post on Strava yesterday. I was like, man, this guy can move a little bit.
Oh, dude, I've had the past 2 weeks. I've been kind of struggling, but that's because we don't have AC. And
Dude, I seen you post them 7s and stuff. I ran 10 yesterday, and I had a few 7s, and I was like, man, I'm like 4 or 5 days off that tick run, and I'm putting up 7s and 8s already. You know, I'm coming out of that race good. So,
well, the more you prep for the race, the better you will feel and recover after.
yeah. Oh, 100%. It's been a journey. It's been a journey. I've ran a few of these things now, and I'm starting to really learn a lot. So,
But yeah, I guess, you know, we could probably formally kick it off with, obviously, you know, a little introduction about, you know, who you are. And I mean, how'd you get into trail running?
okay. So my name is Carl Gilley, and I'm an ultra runner. Love the sport, but it's kind of a funny story. My cousin had a birthday party with his little girl, and a bunch of us middle-aged dads went over there. You know, a bunch of guys about my age with kids, and we started just joking around. We're like, "Hey, man, we're gonna all do an ultra run, and we're all gonna go to Blue Ridge and run an ultra. Blue Ridge run an ultra." We were joking around at this little birthday party. Next thing you know, we all signed up for it by the end of the birthday party. So me and like 5 of my buddies signed up for the Blue Ridge Ultra in Georgia. Like a really hard mountain, a lot of elevation. It was insane. And when we went, it was like 5 middle-aged dads going to Blue Ridge, Georgia to run an ultra. And we did. And that was my first ever run, you know, and dude, I'm here to tell you, it was hard. You know, being in the mountains on your first one. And when I got there, I knew it was going to be hard because my knees were hurting every day in training. Never ran that far, you know, never did an ultra. And we took off, and it was my first ever one. And I ran like middle of the pack. Like I forgot what it is on my thing. I think I was like 16th or 18th or something, ran it 7.5 hours, and it was incredible, man. And that's how I got into it. Really, it was just like that, you know, just a bunch of middle-aged dads joking around, and one race in Georgia, and then I was immediately hooked.
Now, what, you didn't do like the 5K or a 10K or a marathon?
No, I actually did a half marathon like 2 weeks after that birthday party I just told you about. We did a half marathon, and I ran 4th in it. It was a half marathon. I ran 4th. I ran an hour 48 half marathon. First time ever doing one, which is pretty good, you know. And then I started training for, you know, 32 miles, no, 50K. But my knees hurt every day. I couldn't hardly get past 20 miles. Felt like there was a knife in each knee. My knees never done that kind of distance, and I'm 36, you know. And it's crazy. What happened too is like a little bit of story behind me is like I used to be a pretty bad alcoholic for a lot of my life, and you know, I've got over 3 years since I had my last drink, so I've been sober for a long time now, and I think that's why I love ultra running. Like, man, it's like to be free of alcoholism and then kind of go into ultra running. Like this is amazing. Like what a good replacement, you know? And when I was running Blue Ridge, I actually kind of cried like mile 30, man. I felt like I had been freed from the bottle and discovered something that was amazing. You know, I swear by it. Like I kind of got emotional because like, dude, when I knew I was going to finish Blue Ridge, I was just like, it was a spiritual moment out on them trails. It changed my life, you know, and, you know, to go from the bottle to trail running, it's just incredible, man. what a good change of pace for life, man. And it was nuts, yeah. But I did one half marathon, then I did Blue Ridge. And then what gets real crazy is I came back to Florida and I was like immediately hooked. I signed up and I won my next ultra right here in Florida, bro. I won Turkey Burn. Turkey Burn's a 50K ultra. And I won it. And man, I got a trophy and I was definitely addicted after that. It was like a new level. So that's kind of how I got into it and where it rolled pretty quick. So
Yeah, it's interesting how you go from a birthday party, but I mean, even with the tying into sobriety, I feel like it's interesting how we find like a catalyst because sometimes those things that we do on the whim really affects us differently as we complete just some kind of random challenge.
yeah, and like I said, a bunch of middle-aged dads like joking around. And then, dude, next thing you know, there's it's booked. We've booked a big old, 6-7 bedroom house in the mountains. And yeah, very random, but very amazing. And we still have a group chat, me and all of, my buddies, and we all run them and we love them. Like that birthday party changed like our whole life. I mean, it's incredible.
I mean, at that time, were you sober at that time?
I was sober at that time, but I just ran after work. I'd run a 5K just for I love running, but it was never like nothing I did like this. I would just get off work and just go out for a jog. Didn't know anything I never in a million years thought, I didn't even know ultra running existed. And then next thing you know, it's like, oh my God, this is amazing, just randomly fell into the greatest sport imaginable, and ended up being really good at it. I love this sport.
I mean, the community is definitely a different vibe versus kind of the road race. It's like a birthday party every race.
Dude, it really is. The road race, man, they're so fast and serious, the trail running community, it's amazing. Like you're saying, it's it's amazing.
Cause I know after the turkey burn, cause you went over to Brooksville to the Croom Zoom.
Yeah. So I left Turkey Burn, won that race. One of my friends, that I talked about at the birthday party, he got a good third. I think he missed second by 4 minutes. And he's like, let's go do Croom Zoom. So I had a terrible Croom Zoom run. I didn't sleep the night before, showed up. You know how some mornings you just got fog? I had fog all morning, couldn't get all my gear ready. When I started the run, my headphones wouldn't link up. It was like everything was going wrong. And, I ran a good race. I got fourth, but I ran 5 minutes slower than Turkey Burn. So, I'm pretty critical of myself. I'm like, man, you did worse than your last race. You went to fourth. After you win one, you think you're like a running god. You know what I'm saying? You're supposed to win them all. The winner ran a 3 hour, 55 minute 50. He smoked the field by over an hour, but I had a good run, but I didn't feel good and everything just felt off that day. You know what I'm saying? As a trail runner, when you feel like you left it all out there, and then when you feel like you didn't run that well. You know what I'm saying? I felt like that after Croom Zoom. So
yeah, I feel like you do wake up with that brain fog sometimes. I know for me, even on a normal morning run, I might sit in my truck for 30, 40 minutes before stepping out.
Yeah, and some days when you run, you feel lighter, and some days you feel heavier. Some days the legs feel stiff. Some days they feel like air, And Turkey Burn, man, I just, when the race started, I was smiling. I was in a great mood. Croom Zoom, I really felt, I was happy to be on the trails, but I didn't feel as light at Croom Zoom as I did in any of my other races, And then a guy passed me for third, right there at the finish line. And I got upset about it, we get so competitive about winning. When a guy beats you out, I love, we congratulate him when we love him, but I'm like, man, I could have got that guy. You know what I'm saying? That's how it is out there sometimes, So.
Yeah, because I feel like that's let's see, October to January. That's 4 months or something. I don't know. I'm not the best at math, but were you figuring out how to train or what were you doing for training?
So I was just kind of winging it, man. I would just run. When you're running 50Ks, you're not at a distance yet where you gotta really home it in. You can run decent miles each week. So, I got to where after, Blue Ridge and Turkey Burn, I had finally starting to get pretty fit. I was just running 8-10 miles after work, 6 and 8s. Every now and then I'd feel good and run a 20-mile thing, but really didn't have a training plan. I was just running, swift, fast, 8s, 10s, 15s, throughout each week and just kind of, just running and logging it, that was really my plan. And I just kept doing these 50Ks and they weren't wrecking me or nothing. So that's all I really got on that. So
Well, I feel like every race, you go into it, learn something, go into the next one, learn something else, go into the next one, and now you learn something else.
that's exactly right. And what I learned about, Cruise Zoom is like, I think if you can find a way to like be calm the day before or do something that just keeps you relaxed and sleep. If anyone can learn how to sleep the night before an ultra, they're incredible because, that pre-night sleep, we're nervous, we're worked up. That matters going into the next race, and, we do learn, and that day and I love Cruise Zoom. I think I need to try it again or something, but that day I didn't feel it, And then after Cruise Zoom, I believe I ran Skunk Ape.
Yeah, going for the 60K.
Yeah, so I stepped it up into the 60K because I had plans on going above that. So, and let me tell you about that race there, that Skunk Ape run. So I come out that day, I came off Cruise Zoom I wasn't happy with. So I'm like, I'm gonna smoke down this Skunk Ape run. The guy who won that race, that guy was fast. That guy, that guy come out, man, and I was chasing him. That guy ran like a 7:30, maybe a 7:20, like first 10 miles. And I was right there behind him. And man, I'm telling you, when you're running 37 miles and you come out burning like a 7:20 pace, you're running, And I used a lot of my gas chasing that guy down. And man, mile 9, I was actually in trouble. I had to drink and eat a lot of my food and stuff and slow down. And I actually dropped from second place behind that guy who won that race all the way back to 8th. And like regather. Like that dude literally cooked me on the front end, and I learned a lot about, that too. Here I am going up in distance and then coming out faster than I ever have, you know. But once I dropped back to 8th, I slowed down and I started regathering. I started eating a lot of food because those Skunk Ape events, they got the best aid stations. They got a bunch of guys at each table. I tell you, the Skunk Ape events, like they have great volunteers. Like it's unreal. And, they'll help you fill your bottles. They got tons of food. And once I got food and water back in me, I gritted my way back from 8th back to 4th place and got a 4th place trophy. And it was incredible. That run right there that was so much fun, dude. That was a great run. So
Yeah, and that's the nice part. There are 4th place trophies.
yeah, exactly, man. When I finished, I was like, "Ooh, what a run!" And I was cooked because that guy cooked me out front. And as soon as I finished, it might even have been you or someone. They're like, "Yeah, you get a trophy," and I was just on cloud 9 because I had ran so hard chasing that guy and then falling back to 8th and then scratching up 4th. And then to get a trophy, dude, I was so stoked. It's on my mantle right now. I literally built a shelf for it here at the house. So
I had gotten 4th place so many times by just seconds or just barely that like through high school, college, like road races while I was in college. And I had just missed the 3rd place trophy so many dang times. When I started race directing, I'm like, oh, nah, man, I'm doing a 4th place trophy because I have missed the 4th place trophy too many dang times. I'm having a trophy.
well, I appreciate it. I'll tell you that because I love that 4th place trophy. That Skunk Ape trophy is awesome too. It's all carved out. I mean, it's amazing. So that's a great thing. I'll tell you, I'm glad you did that. So
Oh yeah, Bree with Wicked Skins. She does a lot of the awards down here in Florida.
actually, I'm signed up for a 100-miler right now. I'm running the long haul 100 in January. I heard that's a great starters 100 because it's like 5 or 6 like 16.8-mile loops. You can keep all your stuff right there at your vehicle. When you finish a loop, like all your supplies are right there. You can pace it right. So I'm actually trying my first 100-miler in January, and it's going to be pretty incredible. My buddy's doing it with me, the same one who did Turkey Burn with me. His name's Tony. Awesome guy. We did Cruise Zoom together, Turkey Burn together. We're going to do long haul together. We run a lot of races together. So we're gonna try out that 100-miler. I'm pretty nervous, but I've got till January, and then it's good to have. And then we got some pacer friends coming with us. All the people from the birthday party, they're gonna come kind of pace some laps and stuff with us. So it's gonna be good.
Nice. I've got an aid station out there. I'll be out there all weekend. I had one last year. Oh, dude, I had a blast.
Oh, they'll probably be about it. Let me I'll holler at them, tell them about it.
I bring out like 5 10 by 10 tents, all my race directing tables, man. We're cooking up everything. It's like I make a little village.
Good deal, man. That's what it's about, having, because like I said, those villages, they help us while we're running, and it's incredible. That the energy that brings to a race out there is unreal. I mean, it means a lot. So, oh, it's awesome.
Oh, having an aid station is so fun. But it's a lot easier to run my mouth than my legs.
I'll tell you, that's a true thing. I haven't ever tried I like the leg running still myself. I haven't got to that side of it yet, but I think volunteering would be good one day. So,
oh, it's a blast. And you do learn a lot. You see how people are responding to certain things and how they're overcoming it. And you're like, okay, if that scenario happens to me, this is what this person did.
Yeah, absolutely. So,
but yeah, like after Skunk Ape, I mean, you just skipped the 50 mile, went straight to 74 miles.
Yeah, so Skunk Ape was such a fun run, and I did very well. I come off that run and I was fired up. Like, I went from 30, 30, a 50K to a 60K. So I was up to 37 miles, ran a good fourth, got a trophy, came out of the race, like feeling great next day. So I literally went hunting the next day. I'm sitting in a deer stand. I'm a big bow hunter, and I'm looking at this run and I just sign up for it. I'm like, I'm going straight to death race 74 miles. I said, if I could do that, it was kind of like a next day runner's high sign up. I signed up way over my head. And then I started begging my friends. I was like, y'all come do the half. Y'all come do the half. I got a lot of friends, and I got a couple of buddies of mine to come do the 37. But that run right there, man, let me tell you about that run. I got to, went up there. It's like White Springs, Florida. I went to the front, dude. Me and like 3 guys from other states. I think it was a guy from Georgia, a couple guys. I don't know where they were from. We're like running. This thing starts at 4:30 in the morning, man. We're running and we're just out front and we're just talking and we're talking and we're talking. It's 5, 6 in the morning. The sun hasn't come up. And you'd have thought we just, how you get out there on the trail with 3 or 4 guys and you just start chatting about all your races. We did that from 4:30 in the morning till the sun come up. And when the sun come up, we took a picture on the bridge over there in White Springs, and it was the top 4 runners at Death Race. It was me, second, third, and fourth place. We were top 4. Snapped a picture on the bridge. Incredible moment. I don't know if any of those boys, I hadn't met up or with them or anything since, but they got some cool pictures. Then we went into the aid station. I was in the top 4. I come out of there running, man. That you talk about going fast early. I went fast early on my first 74-mile race. I actually led Florida Death Race all the way to about mile 30. I was in first place. And then I started, I've only ever ran 37 miles. So when I got halfway to 37 miles, oh, it was hot. It was hot. It was midday. And I seen I had a guy who helped crew me. He's a great guy. His name's Larry. And I told Larry, I said, Larry, I'm just going to try to get top 10. Like, that's where I was at mentally, because I had just led Death Race all the way halfway. And I was starting to kind of get gathered up by some of those elite runners, kind of hit the halfway point and started the journey back. And, man, by mile 50, I was cooked. I was cooked real hard. Started to kind of feel it. I think at mile 50, I was about at 11 hours and 45 minutes at mile 50 at Florida Death Race. And I had been passed by a few. I think I was in like 4th or 5th place at mile 50, which is still incredible out of 99 runners, from my first time doing 74 miles. And then it started to get dark. And man, I got that, when the sun goes down, you get another surge of energy. I got that other surge, but, it started to get hard. And once that surge went away, it was kind of like running into the night towards the finish line. And, it was an adventure from there to the end, but it was awesome. So once I got past mile 50 and it started to get dark, I got to mile 60, I got to mile 70, and then there was an aid station 6 miles from the finish line. I got to that aid station. I remember I seen my crew guy. He's like, hey man, do you need anything? And I was like, man, I just need to finish, He's like, here, take some water. I had like 1 water bottle. I was like, nah, man, I'm right there. I don't know if any other runners do this, but like, I was like, I'm just going to grit it out. And man, that was a mistake. I should have stopped there for a minute and eat and drink, because dude, I started to those last 6 miles, they felt like 20 miles. Like, I really hit some new walls. It was like 9, 10 o'clock at night. And then, I don't know, I made it to the finish line, finished in 6th place. And man, the pictures of me crossing the finish line, I look rough. Like, I absolutely left it all out there on that one. It took me 7 hours, 52 minutes to run 74-ish miles, sixth place finish. Just incredible, man. But I'm here to tell you, I put it all out there on that. I went to a hard distance, and it definitely, it leveled up to what it was. That was a hard race. So.
I mean, even when you're adding into into the night, because I feel like that it is a nice reset, because during the day there's a lot of things going on, you can see a lot of things, but at night, I mean, for Florida, it does get a little cooler, which is great. But I think there was a lot of weather going on with Florida Death Race this year.
Yeah, it was the hottest they ever seen. So the guy,
Yeah.
the race director told us before the race, he's like, "This is the hottest we've ever had Florida Death Race." He's like, "Listen," he's like, "I'll refund anyone their money right now if they wanna get out." He's like, "Because if tomorrow, if you don't pay attention, he's like, you could get hurt out there, you know." And it kind of like checked you up to like what we were really getting into. Like it was that hot, you know. It was like 88 degrees. And he mentioned, you know, like cool off in the Swanee, you know, take your time out there. He kind of warned us of the conditions, you know, and he was right, because midday, it was brutal out there, you know. And a lot of these ultras, man, they like to run you through these wide open prairies and wide open pines, you know. That's been a common thing, like the berm, you know, at the Skunk Ape run here recently. It's hot out there in that wide open in the middle of the day, man. It is so hot, you know. That's where you got to really like kind of slow it down and kind of hydrate and just, you know, don't be burning during those times of the day, you know?
Yeah, well, I mean, the Palmetto Plains, I mean, yeah, you have the berm, but like the Palmetto Plains are so nice, except they are very exposed and no shade whatsoever.
Yeah. And, you know, when you don't have the shade and it's midday, like that's been a challenge, you know, been hot, you know. So.
And I feel like that's one thing a lot of people underestimate, which still blows my mind to this day about Florida and Floridians. Our trail races start, and it could be, I mean, now that we're in summer, it's a little bit different, but it could still be 60s, 70s in the morning, but it's going to be in the high 80s, maybe even 90s come midday. You know, you're always, for the most part, you're always going to have that nearly 10 or 10 plus degree temperature swing.
Yeah, and it sneaks up on you, because you kind of feel good kind of in the morning when you're crisp and everything. And then, you know, next thing you know, like you start getting 20, 30, 40 miles in, and it's like, dude, it gets hot quick. And yeah, 100%. From a crisp morning to like 88 and sunny out there in the middle of a palmetto flat or a prairie. Holy smokes, you know. So I've actually became very fond of these ice rags and all that stuff, you know. And I used to be like, you know, not take a lot of time to dip a rag in freezing water and rush it over my head. You know, I've gotten really fond of that recently. That has saved my butt. So.
Yeah, and I feel like even on the hydration standpoint, when it's cool in the morning, it is hard to drink. I get that, but that's the time to really start fueling up for that midday.
Yeah, early hydration is huge, man. I'll tell you, that's an fact on that.
I see it all the time. It still blows my mind. People are like, man, it got hot out there. We live in Florida, bro.
Dude, it really is.
Which, I mean, coming after that, because I know Florida Death Race was hot, and it still got hot at the Skunk Ape 50 mile.
Yeah, so the Skunk 850, let me tell you about this race. So, all right, so there's a story behind this one. So, I told you I used to, you know, drink a lot and have an alcohol problem and everything. So, I hit my 3-year sobriety on Tuesday is when I did, and the Skunk Ape run was Saturday. So, here I am, like 3 years sober since my last drink. I'm excited. I was like, dude, I have to win this 50-mile race to prove, you know, that I'm healthy and good in life. So I tied winning the Skunk 850 to my 3-year sobriety. It's like, I have to win this race. And I'm here to tell you, when you tell yourself you have to win an ultra and you get up there, listen, you don't have any control of what's going to happen out there in those 50 miles, especially it's hot. And I went into it with this mentality like I had to win. And you never do that as a trail runner. You're supposed to go out there, enjoy the run with your friends, have a good time. And I took all the good time out of that run and I turned it into a must win. And it was a mistake, because that's what actually kind of hurt me on that run. Like Skunk 850, the Skunk Ape events are awesome. They got the best everything, man. The best merchandise, swag, the blow ups, the stars, like the people. I mean, there was 80 people in the 50 mile and like 60 in the 100 mile. That's 140 runners coming to this event. And here I am saying, I've got to smoke them all to prove something to myself, you know? And so then when the race took off, man, I went out there and I had all this pressure on myself, and I got real selfish. I started running by guys, not talking to them, started doing a lot of things that you don't do as a trail runner. Like, we're out there to have fun. Being out there's a blessing. And I'm running. And then what happened was I came off the berm. We talked about the berm. The berm is that deep sand, and I came off of it and I had sand in my shoes and it felt like grit, just sandpaper on my feet. So I stopped, dumped all the sand out of my shoes. And when I stood up, I was kind of lightheaded because I think I was 28 miles in, hot, putting all this pressure on myself. And when I turned out of the berm, I took a wrong trail. And when I started running, I didn't see any pink flags. So I didn't see any pink flags. And I'm like, man, like Skunk Ape marks these things good with pink flags. And I kept running and kept running. Didn't see a pink flag. So then I started to panic. Here I am saying, I got to win this race. I got to win it. I'm not seeing any flags. And I started to get upset. And then I seen a mountain biker. And a mountain biker told me how to get back on the race. And when I did, I jumped back onto the race. But now, of course, I'm way off course. I've cut like a bunch of the race out. And when I made it back to an aid station, I had pretty much just ran my own race that was way off course. And at that point, I was pretty much out of the race, and I kind of went in and I ended up getting a DNF on the Skunk 850. And, that was a lesson because you never go out there and say you're just going to win this race for your selfish needs. You go out there and you enjoy the race, There are some incredible people on that race, man. That fella with Sombrero Racing, he ran that thing, that big fella. I seen some funny pictures of him. He knocked it out of the park. He finished in the middle of the night, and, I was like, why didn't you just go back, get back on course and enjoy the run like all the pictures and all the other people I've seen, Here I am thinking I needed to win it, and it was such a dumb thing. Really a bad day could have been a great day, you know what I'm saying? And what a lesson, that's kind of how that race went for me,
Yeah, and it's kind of interesting too because when we look toward like sobriety or that step to get to sobriety, I feel like there's a lot of selfish things, kind of lies that we tell ourselves that like everything is fine.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, when I was lost in, drinking, I was a pretty selfish fella, and alcohol does that to you. And I felt like, I brought some of that selfish thinking into that run, and here I am blessed with 3 years sobriety, and I don't know, man, it's crazy, but yeah, you ain't lying about that, for sure.
And I know where you turned too. So instead of going left to the state route aid station, when you got dizzy, you just looked up, saw a white sign, but the white sign says inbound, but you're in that dizzy mindset. You see, white sign, and you headed that direction.
That's exactly right. So I went inbound instead of going the additional trail. You still had to go all the way out to the left in another, I want to say a whole nother 10 miles before you came back inbound. You know what I'm saying? Does that sound right?
Yeah, it's about, I think, 12, 13 or so.
Yeah, so I went inbound too soon, being dizzy and hot and dumping my shoes out. And when I did that, I kind of separated from all the runners. That's exactly what happened. I seen inbound and it wasn't time to go inbound, but and I'll say this, man, it's easy to get lost out there. A lot of people criticize, pay attention, this or that. Like, dude, I was hot. I was a little dizzy and you're dumping sand. And I looked up, seen a sign, and the brain just went that way, So
that's how it happens sometimes though.
Yeah. And I ended up still running like 33 miles that day, which honestly,
because you just at least ran it home.
Yeah, I kind of started walking and I was calling some of my friends, out there. And a friend of mine was kind of guiding me because I'm really bad with navigation. And I kind of stopped the watch at like 33 miles, but I had to get back, to the truck, So I don't know how many miles I did that day. I know I didn't do the race, but I did quite a few. So,
I'd say, let's see, 52 minus 12, whatever that maths out to be. So you almost.
Yeah. I guess at 40 myself. But Skunk Ape was a lesson. That was my first ever DNF. And I'll say it, man. Anytime you go to do these runs, we all want to win them. I think it makes you feel better about yourself. I feel like every guy out there is a good guy, a great person. We're all out there against the course, But when you win, you feel good. When you run a good second, a good third. But, everybody who finishes that race, they win. It's incredible, But I went out there thinking I had to beat all those, all my good people out there running with me, and it was really selfish, and it cost me a run, I was blessed enough to be out there 3 years free from the bottle, and I turned it into the wrong thing, and That's kind of how that race was. It was a great lesson, is what it was. So, and I can't wait to go back to the next Skunk Ape run and redeem myself because, that one there, I love the Skunk Ape runs, and I'm gonna take the lesson from that one and return. That's what we do. So.
I mean, after a DNF, I mean, you finally claimed your first. I mean, were there any doubts about future racing?
No, there wasn't, because I knew. I mean, I just did Death Race, Skunk Ape. I knew I was an incredible ultra runner. I knew the mistake I made. I did. I didn't have any doubts. I honestly, and I didn't want to go into a dark, depressed place off of a DNF. A lot of people can, that can really define them. And I was like, dude, like let's look back at what we've done, and let's learn from this race and come back. And that's kind of why I brought, what I brought into this weekend, at the tick, you know what I'm saying?
I mean, as I have 9 100-mile DNFs, sometimes, that's just how it's going to be. Where you're at that point, you're like, well, that's all she wrote today. But at least I gave myself the opportunity to try to go for it.
Yeah, and I mean, you never know. Like I said, like you learn something every race, but I say it all the time too. I feel like some days, like when you're out there, you're gonna keep asking the body for a lot. But if you're feeding the body and giving it fuel, giving it water, and asking a lot out of it, sometimes it all works together. But then sometimes when you're not feeding it enough or giving it enough water and it starts breaking down, I don't know, man. It's kind of a recipe out there. It's hard to describe, but it's something. So.
Yeah, and with feeding the body, I mean, what are you doing for what's your nutrition now?
So I use a lot of gels. I use the SIS gels, SIS.
Those are good.
Those are really good. I like those a lot. I started out with just the Go gels, and I actually switched to those SIS gels, those SIS gels. But I also use a lot of Uncrustables, man. Those PB&J Uncrustables. I'll use those. I know that's kind of a random fueling source. I used a lot of applesauce, and then, and I take advantage of aid stations, and eat that. But usually it's kind of Uncrustables, applesauce, SIS gels. And even on this most recent race, I even ate just a big, piece of bread. I even carried a hoagie out there, just ate the whole piece of bread on mile 30, you know what I'm saying? So that's kind of where I'm at with the fueling.
I mean, that makes sense because with the science and sport gels, you get the fast digesting carbs. With the foods, you get the slow digesting carbs. So how your body's burning and fueling with the carbs, you need both.
Yeah, you got to give it, an Uncrustable has 260 calories. SIS gel has 160 calories. So if you eat an Uncrustable and a SIS gel, you're over 400 calories right there pretty quick. And if you do that a decent amount of times during a run, you're doing pretty well on your calorie intake, far as I could tell,
Yeah, and if you know how many calories you're burning, like at least per hour, or if you look at the course and go from here to here, I'm going to burn this many calories. This is what I need to replenish with. And based on how I feel, I can take those calories. You could take those calories in whatever direction you kind of want to go with.
Yeah, and with me, I try to follow a timeline, but I'll be honest, if I hit a hard hill, I'll be like, listen, I don't need to be running this hill. I'll actually make myself walk. And I'll say, man, I'm a little early on nutrition. I'm a little late on nutrition, but I am walking up the hill. So I'm going to use this time to be eating if I am walking. And then when I get to the top of the hill, now here I am taking, 2 gels. I just took on 300 calories. I was like, way to use that hill. And then I'll run down it and try to let it settle, So I also use the course, incorporate it in with my fueling, If I'm using the hill to walk, I'm trying to use that same hill to do nutrition, getting resourceful like that. Cause I don't like to just be walking and just like not trying to take advantage of a walk. Cause if I am walking, I'm trying to fuel, I'm trying to drink, I'm trying to, and then once I get a little, life back in them legs, we got to start picking them up again. We got to start moving, So that's kind of how I've been doing it.
Yeah. And that's a good way to go about it too. I mean, when you go into an aid station, it's, more time effective just to grab what you need, refill, top off. And then as you're walking to leave the aid station, then eat all your stuff.
Big time, man. Like, get you a fast march going and start putting that food in you and you may not even run for like 3/4 of a mile. It might take you 3/4 of a mile to eat all that food you just grabbed. But I love what you just said, man. Take advantage of like gathering that and then progress forward as you eat it. That's exactly right.
And sometimes there's tricks that you can do, because I know if you rush into an aid station, you're going to look at the food and you're not going to be hungry because, I mean, your heart rate's up, you're working, your body's probably not going to be as hungry as you would be if you know that aid station is, like 200 meters out, where you just kind of gradually slow down to show up. Now with more of a hungry mindset, you can better, you could better digest the food that you need.
Yeah, 100%, man. That's exactly right. Yeah, I definitely did that. I definitely left the aid station eating a lot at my last run. And I don't know. It's these shorter runs, I feel like you can kind of be a little quicker in the aid station, because I'm gonna tell you, it's hard to spend a lot of time at a 50K at the aid station. I feel like you need to really be going. But when you start doing 50 miles and 74 miles and 58 miles, I feel like you got a little bit more leeway to kind of grab that food and go than in a 50K. These 50K runners nowadays, man, they're getting in and out of these aid stations quick. And
Yes.
dude, it's crazy because and then when they start doing that, you're like, man, they're going, and you're like, you start to get a little stir crazy, and you go with them, So it's crazy. So
Because with the tick, you have to have a crew. So did you have a whole crew plan and how you wanted to eat and all that stuff?
my crew guy, he's an amazing guy. He came out there, and I had a big white igloo cooler just full of everything I needed. My guy, his name's Larry York. He's a great guy. I went to his house the morning of, and I had this giant cooler, and like I said, I had a couple avocados, bananas, all my Uncrustables, all my cyst gels, and like 40 waters, Powerades, everything. And I put it all in the back of his truck. He wanted to take his, and we headed out for the tick, and that's how that race was, and I had it all prepped and ready, and that's how it went. So
Now, how did you even hear about the tick? Because, it's a pretty low key race. It's an old school ultra.
yeah, the tick was definitely different. It was a kind of a rugged run, like bring your guy, like self crew, no aid stations. But what I do is like, I'm so obsessed with these ultras now. I'm always surfing the ultra website. So I'm at work, I'm surfing, and I see the tick on the ultra website, and it's like rugged self crew 57 miles, and it's like 7 bonus miles. And I was like, dude, I love this rugged looking race, like, because my thought on it is, if it's going to be rugged and hard, it's going to take a man to do it. And I was like, dude, I like the idea of having a rugged non-crew or non-aid station type run, and that's what kind of drew me to it, and it was exactly what they said it was on the site. I just seen it while I was at work surfing the web. I seen it, and I was like, yeah, I like this.
That is true. I think the website, it's like, this is not your average ultra. This rugged 57.41 mile wilderness adventure winds through the heart of the Ocala National Forest, and so on.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And it's like runs to the Rodman Dam. Must have a crew. If you do not have a crew, don't come. And I was like just intrigued by it. Then my friend sent it to me. He's like, you should do this one. And I was like, dude, I want it, and then I signed up. I actually signed up for it pretty quick, and it was awesome. It was a great run. I kind of like a sufferfest. I like it to be a little harder. I like the ruggedness. Like, that's kind of my style. And it was great. It was exactly what they said, and it went well.
Yeah, and I guess it's not that far from you, because I know it starts in Alexander Springs and ends, as you mentioned, at the Rodman Reservoir Dam.
Yeah, it runs all the way from Altoona to Palatka. Yeah, it's a pretty good run. So I don't know. I went out there. Let me tell you about the race now. I hadn't really gotten the details of the tick. So I showed up to the tick, got there, and I just talked about how, skunk ape, I learned all these lessons and went out there. I had to win, and I had all this, negative thinking how I had to beat all these other runners. So I went into this one. I said, listen, man, we're going to enjoy the day. We're going to listen to our body. You know, if we feel like running, we're going to run. If we feel like eating, we're going to eat. You know, I said, we're not going to have to win this race. If we're meant to win this race, it's just, you're going to feel good enough to win it. You know, I changed my whole mindset, you know. And then my crew guy, he's like, don't go out there and be the rabbit. He's like, you know, at death race, you were the rabbit. Don't be the rabbit. And he started getting on my tail early. I said, Larry, I said, you know, if I feel good, I'm going to run, you know. So I get out there. The guy goes to the front and we run 1 mile. And after 1 mile, my Garmin says lap 1, 10:16. And I was like, dude, 10:16 is way too slow. Like, I'm sorry, mile 1, 10:16 not gonna work. I went around the guy, went to the front, and I took off. You know, I can't run a 10:16 mile 1 on, you know, I like to at least be in the nines. So, and then I went into the race, and when I got to the aid station, I seen my guy. I said, listen, man, I said, I feel good. I said, I'm not being the rabbit, you know. And um yeah, it was good. I went to him. And what I do like about the tick is like it was self-crewed, but they had them leapfrogging us every 4 miles. So I seen my guy mile 4, mile 8, mile 13, but then from mile 13 it went all the way to 28. That was the only time they had one 10-mile gap right there in the middle. The rest of the whole run was every 4 miles I see my guy with one 10-mile gap right in the middle. So they had it designed pretty good to where like they were intercepting us on like main roads. Like it was like like 130th Ave, like Highway 19, like highway this, highway that. Like they had the map drawn out pretty good. So they didn't have to go down a lot of those forest roads, but the roads they were intercepting us on were all set up just right. And he was there every time and it was phenomenal. Like, you know, he did a good job. Whoever drew the map up, he did a great job at setting all that up, you know, and it was designed perfectly.
Yeah, because in those first 28 miles, I know you're in the Ocala National Forest, you got the Florida Trail, and then you got the Juniper Prairie.
Yep, and the Juniper Prairie, that's when it got hot and kind of wide open. But I'll tell you a story too that happened. So, you know, I mentioned at Skunk Ape, I took a wrong turn and then I kind of got frustrated. So I was out front at the tick. And I hit this spot on the trail and I'm sitting here looking at it and I'm like, man, this is confusing. Like it was just like a little patch of trees. And then the guy in second, you know, we had been going back and forth. He caught up to me and I said, hey man, like, what do we do here? So me and the leader, or me and the 1 and 2 guy, we worked together. I said, what do we do here? And we talked about it. And we took off. So me and him actually took off and went the wrong way together, me and the leader. And we went like literally a half mile to 3/4 of a mile off trail. And then I said, hey man, like this just don't look right. There's too many bushes in the way. And we put our heads together. So he's like, hey man, my phone don't have service. Pull your phone out. I pulled my phone out. I'm really bad at navigating. Gave it to him. He's like, yeah, dude, we're off the Florida Trail. So me and the guy actually when I got lost at Skunk Ape, I gave up, got discouraged. I actually worked together with another runner at the tick. We both got back on course. We actually now had lost the lead to another guy. We ended up catching up to him, passing him, and going right from there. And we went all the way to the end. With no problems. But that was a lesson in some. It's like, you know, instead of getting discouraged about getting lost, I actually worked together with another runner while we were lost together and we both found our way back together. And that was a huge deal for both of us. And then that guy right there, he ended up running second in the race. A good dude. He had run low on water that run. I give him some water. He helped me navigate. I helped him drink. And we worked together to get through that 10-mile stretch right there. And it actually, you know, it was phenomenal. It was a great thing for both of us. So that goes to show, like, you're not always out there beating every runner. Like, it's good every now and then to link up with a runner, work together, and actually conquer the trail together. And that's kind of a little story about, you know, the lesson I learned from Skunk Ape to the tick right there. You know what I'm saying?
I think that's one of the great things that the ultra community truly embodies.
Exactly. Yeah. Like that's a prime example of the, you know, ultra community. And like, because, you know, you're not out there beating everyone, like you're working together, you know, and right there, like, I don't know, it was incredible. And I've learned that, you know, every time I pass a runner, I'm like, how you doing, man? You know, just check on everybody, make sure everybody's okay. Like, what can we do for each other while we're out there? You know, it changes everything because being able to run that distance is a blessing in its own, but to be able to, you know, help others and all of us get to the finish line, that's just incredible too. You know what I'm saying? So,
I mean, if you're lost, he's lost, and none of y'all are winning.
exactly, you know, and that's exactly right, man. And me and that guy are friends, man. We texted after the race, you know, at each other on Strava. Every run, you know, you get these Strava followers, new friends, and then you start talking to them about what races they're doing and stuff. So Yeah, so then like we left there, we made it to the next aid station at mile 28, and that guy, me and him, we worked together. He took off in the lead again. He was leading the way. He led the way all the way to mile 40 something, maybe mile 42, and then the sky fell out. Man, it rained super hard for 15 minutes. I'm talking about like soak you down, raining, soak you down. And when that happened, I think his shoes had filled up with water because I seen him messing with his shoes a lot. And I chafed up bad after that. But when I passed him, he was messing with his shoes. And then when I got to Larry at the next aid station, I changed out my shoes and socks to some brand new shoes and socks. And from then on, man, I had a strong finish. I took off. I'd been fueling and eating good the whole run. All that came together. And I think I ran a 12-hour, 3-minute, 57.5-mile endurance race. Strong finish, sprinted across the finish line at the Rodman Dam. I think I was like 40 minutes ahead of that fella right there who got second. We'd worked together, and just incredible, man. I was so happy. 57.5 miles. Redemption, from my lesson I learned 2 weeks prior. Really strong race, man. I was so happy, like, to bounce back from my mistakes, get another win. That's my second win. I won Turkey Burn. I won the TIC. Just incredible, man. I'm still happy about that race. That race was phenomenal. So
Yeah, and that's the nice part about crossing the finish line too, because obviously now you've just, you've accomplished, such a huge thing.
dude, it's a great feeling. And like when you're trying, like when you get out front like that, you really want to win, but you're always nervous that guy's behind you. So like you're kind of like running as hard as you can, you're burned out, and you're always kind of glancing back. But when you finally make it there, it's an incredible feeling, man. I tell you, I've been blessed with the luckiness to do that twice, to win 2 races, and it's just so incredible. I mean, you work your butt off, but you're always worried, like you're glancing back, and it's incredible. It's such a good feeling. So
Yeah, now what's the trail like out there? Because I know the Ocala National Forest, you have those trails, but Juniper and Hawkins Prairie, that's totally different from the rest of that trail.
So the Juniper side of it was kind of wide open, man. It was like kind of like some palmetto flats, not a lot of shade, and there was a lot of sand too. Not quite as bad as the berm at the Skunk Gate Run, but quite a bit of sand and open roads. And then a lot of those trails were tight. Like you really kind of beat through some of those tight bushes and stuff. And I'm not gonna lie, I had ticks all over me. Like it did live up to the name. Like I pulled ticks off of me for hours after that run. Yeah, kind of, a lot of sand and sand trails in the Juniper side of it. Some tight bushes in some of it, but it was all, just a big, long, rugged run, really.
Yeah, and I guess after the rain, I mean, did it feel better, or was the heat just cooking off all the rain?
No, the rain was a game changer, actually. Like, it caused me to chafe really bad around my armpits and arms. Cause like when I soaked everything down, I didn't put on enough, Body Glide or lube or whatever everyone uses. And, it rubbed my armpits raw and all that from that soaking wet shirt. I don't know. It went from being so hot to just cooled off. And honestly, when I took care of my feet, when I got all that wetness off my feet, I didn't mind rubbing up top. You can rub my armpits raw as long as my feet and my thighs aren't chafed up real bad. I can roll. So the rain was a game changer. I think it really helped during that run. It rained from 2 to about 3:15, and I think I finished that run at 6:30, so it was a great thing for sure.
And you had no problems with your feet. You had no blisters?
No blisters, man. I changed shoes and socks after the run, but I've been running in these A6 Super Blast 2s, and my feet have just been phenomenal. I used the toe socks, where you got, each toe in its own little thing, and just I've been really lucky with my feet. No feet problems on that whole run right there for sure.
Yeah, it's nice when you kind of figure out what socks work for you, what shoes work for you.
Yeah, I've been lucky. I only had one big blister during Chrome Zoom, and that's been my only blister, honestly, of my whole career. Out of all my runs, I've only had one blister using those Asics Super Blast 2s. So pretty lucky trail runner when it comes to the feet, that's for sure.
And it's nice that here in Florida, like the shoe variety, you could pretty much wear any shoe that you want.
Yeah, absolutely. But I don't know, I think it is good to take care of your feet. Like, when I came out of the berm, like getting all that sand out of my shoes, I had to. I think I haven't blistered, but if you ever start feeling sand in your socks and all that, dude, it's a good thing to stop for a minute and address that, because like when your feet feel crisp and clean, you move better. I can assure you of that.
Well, yeah, all those little granulars of sand are just gonna just keep rubbing and rubbing and rubbing. It's gonna be it's gonna turn into a hot spot, and then that turns to the blister.
Yeah, 100%. Because I know when I changed my socks and shoes after that rain, dude, I felt like I was running on pillows. Like it was just, I don't know if it's because they were dry. And then, like I said, when I passed the second place runner, he was actually messing with his shoes. So I don't know if he was able to change them or not, but I feel like, that might have been what was kind of giving him a little bit of time issues right there, and, it was a good deal. I had just enough shoes and socks and clothes on that run too. So the tick was awesome, man. Like the crew, the aid, working with the runner, working together. I had the right clothes, the right fuel. It's just one of those days that, like, I don't know, I felt good. Everything kind of came together, and, just an incredible run. And, yeah, just awesome. I really enjoyed that one. So.
Yeah, Joe Miller, he's now the race director for that with Combat Racing.
Yeah, the fellow with the big beard.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah, dude, he's an awesome guy, man. I really like that guy, yeah.
He knows that neck of the woods, that whole Florida trail through the Ocala National Forest. I think Joe could do that blindfolded.
Well, yeah, I got turned around once out there, and I'm on the phone with Larry, and Larry's like, "Hey, I'm sitting right next to Joe. Tell him what you need to tell him." And Joe's like, he's literally on the phone, and I'm describing the trail, and Joe's like, "Oh, I know exactly where you're at. Look to your left. There should be like a dry pond." So like he knew what I was talking about over the phone. Like he's that familiar with it. So yeah, just knows it.
Oh, if you were looking to your left and there's a dry pond, you're heading to whatever it's called, island, because there is a split with the Florida Trail. There's a trail that goes to the right, but the trail kind of with no markers goes right next to that dry pond and picks up. So if you're looking to your left, I think I know where you're talking about too.
Oh yeah, and yeah, I was there and I was talking to him and describing it all. He knew it, and it was cool because that was one thing about the tick. There was no ribbons or flags. Like it was like you follow those orange triangles, you know what I'm saying? And then kind of use the maps. But like, when we run the skunk ape events, Joe come out there and help flag all. Y'all had pink flags out the tail, you know what I'm saying? But the tick, like you stayed on those triangles, so.
Oh yeah, the orange blaze.
The orange blaze, yeah.
See, there are races like that, like, the Tick, Lake to Oceans that way, where you're just following the Florida Trail, and it's on you to figure that out.
Yeah, and they take a lot of time to, work on those maps, and they provide those maps and all the pre-race stuff and on the internet, and, they tell you, use the GPX file, put it on your watch, so the navigation is planned and provided, and I'm pretty weak at it because I don't know, I like to go out there and think I'm just going to stay on trail, but it don't work like that. So
it's a fun skill to have.
Yes, and it also makes you slow down and pay attention too, because you can be the fastest man in the world, but if you run down the wrong trail and go way too far, it's not going to be a good race for you. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, the Tick, I mean, it's been around for a long time.
He said next year he's going to actually try to incorporate in aid stations. He said that was his goal. He kind of mentioned it at the beginning of the race. He said, we've been doing this a long time. He's like, next year we're going to try to have aid stations. So it was kind of a goal that was talked about. So
hopefully a little tailgate aid station set up.
Yeah, because, there wasn't a lot of runners. When you compare the Tick, I think there was only like 20 something entries, but then look at that skunk ape race where I met you, there was 100 and something people. That's a massive difference in the amount of people, So.
And that's the enjoyable thing, because, there are races that are going to be bigger and lots of markers and a lot of information, but sometimes it's nice to have those old school races where you kind of just show up and, just roll with it.
Yeah, exactly. It's a little bit of everything, You want people and fun, you want ruggedness and, self-aid, That's exactly right. So,
and I guess, for the Tick, I mean, what's the good, the bad, and the ugly for it?
Let's see, the good, the bad, the ugly. So the good is, I mean, it's a trail run. It's fun. It's a long ways. It's incredible. The Florida Trail, the people. The bad was I did hit quite a few forks in places where it was kind of hard to navigate, but that's kind of on me. And then the ugly, I would say, was like all the ticks and bushes and stuff that like I pulled ticks off me. I'm not lying here for like 3 hours. It must have been about 16 ticks, you know. And that's kind of it, you know, the good, the bad, and the ugly. So,
And the tick really is the tick.
dude, I assure you, like when I was at the aid station mile 40, I looked around the rim of both my knees and I could see like 2 to 3 ticks on each knee, literally full burrow down into my skin. And I was like, oh, dude. And I started picking ticks off. And I was like, when I finished, they just started kind of coming up my legs, like, cause it was a lot of ticks out there. So
Nice when the name is very well suited for the race.
So the long haul's coming. I think Turkey Burn's coming up again this year. You know, I won that last year. I'd imagine I'll jump into that one. That's just a 50K, you know, kind of there in November. And I'm sure between now and long haul, you know, that's a long gap. I would imagine I may jump into some other races. You know, I know my friends talking about doing the Skunk Ape Night Run. You know, that looks fun. I mean, the Skunk Ape Night Run looks fun. I kind of can see myself maybe doing that one. It's not very long, you know, it's a 30K, but man, like running through the night, a 30K, like, I don't know. Have you ever you've been a part of that race, hadn't you? Can you tell me a little bit about that one?
Now, I mean, I know for you, because you're going to be running faster, you'll hit the last aid station. It's going to be dark, dark, dark. You'll hit the berm at sunset, where normally most folks hit the sunset through the like the Palmetto Plains and the Sugar Sand Hills.
Yeah.
But that one, it's a good time. I mean, $15 in the potluck. What kind of entry fee is that?
Dude, exactly. And I've ran that race, you know, I ran it, so I kind of know the course, you know, it's kind of in my head. So sunset or not, I kind of know where to go. Cause I will say about that race, when you come off the berm, it's kind of a straight road to the finish line, you know, and once you've done that, it's kind of in your head a little bit. So,
And that straightaway, I mean, it's either great or it hurts. It's a great place to open up and catch up or sprint it out, or it's just going to hurt because your quads hurt.
yeah. And then at nighttime, I feel like you're going to have a lot of adrenaline just pumping through you. Cause, you know, who runs at night? Like, that'd be a first timer. So I feel like it would just be fun, adrenaline. And so that one might fall onto my agenda. I'm going to see how my life kind of plans out, but I kind of want to do that one. So
Yeah. And then there's also the Colt 45. That's over on the long haul course.
okay, I'll have to check into that one. I ain't really eyeballed that one at all. Yeah. Heck yeah, man. So a lot of people, you know, what I've noticed in this sport, you know, is like this trail running has really changed my life. You know, I talk about how I kind of used to, you know, have a lot of problems drinking. Like, you know, if there's a lot of people in the sport who left drinking and kind of turned to trail running. And I think that's a phenomenal thing, you know. It's been a phenomenal thing in my life. I think, you know, to be lucky enough to like be free of alcoholism and be lucky enough to be free on these trails has really saved my life. And, these runs, these everythings, you know, it's just an incredible thing for me. And if it's incredible like that for anyone else, it's just an amazing experience. I hope that anyone who's lost in alcoholism and who's come to trail running, I hope it's as amazing for them as it has been for me. Cause, it's truly a blessing. So I just wanted to throw that in this little chat here because it's a big deal to me. So
Sweet. Appreciate it.
yeah, man. Just holler, man. This was awesome. I'll talk to you soon or see you soon, man.
Heck yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, buddy. Later.
Welcome to the Florida Trail Runners Podcast. Out in the woods, out in the swamps, down by the Willie Coochie. It started with a podcast, that's the thing. The Florida Trail Runners. I see a skunk ape, chasing me down, chasing me down. I'm doing the long haul, running all over town, A station to A station, I see the skunk ape, chasing me down. I'm doing the long haul, running all over town, Starting in the north, Tallahassee. Starting Central Florida, Tempe, Ocala, Orlando, Day City. Green Swamp, headed down south. Headed to the Keys, lake to ocean. Miami, out to the East Coast. Daytona, Jacksonville, Pioneer Trail. On a single trail, running 1 to 100 miles. A station to A station, all around. The Florida Trail Running. Feet hit dirt where the palm trees sway. Mossy oaks, palmetto pines and cypress knees. All grass bending, go find your way. Swarm mist rising, every step I take, I feel it flow. Beach sunrises, beach sunsets, sugar sand all around. From the Swanee River to the St. John's, from Crystal River and the what I love.